Welcome back to another day in the arena. It's CoffeeStout. I'm back, and we are going to be talking about this channel going forward and also the position of where we are with standard in... we're going to be talking about standard today, and we're going to be talking about why most of my content now is in historic. First of all, when we're looking at standard, and I'm picking this deck specifically because it kind of makes me sad. This is a budget profile. Yes, $200 are spent on this account every year, but that is basically it. Every once in a while, I'll supplement another $50 to $100 because I need to make content for you guys. I don't have the budget of MTG Goldfish or Covert Go Blue or you name your YouTuber, and I don't have that kind of budget. What I have to supplement that is a philosophy of what we are doing moving forward. And I have to say all of that before I start talking about this deck because it is important to understand that this is a budget profile. I only craft what I think I can win with, and I thought I could win with this because we had the supplement of Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and this deck was nigh unstoppable with a Fable of the Mirror Breaker along with Liliana. Big scores, just getting your Atraxa into the graveyard and then Cruelty of Gix. It was a wonderful time for me because I was able to win quite a bit, and then two things happened. First, they made Fable of the Mirror Breaker illegal for Standard, and then more recently for Alchemy, and they also made Invoke Despair illegal, which was a nice finisher for that previous deck if you could not find your Atraxa, or it was nice to find with your Atraxa. But that is no longer going to be the case. And the second thing that they did, and I think it's even more damning to Standard for the time being, is rotation is not happening for another year. And I put a poll out asking if you guys wanted to see more standard stuff, if I should give standard another chance, and unanimously people said yes, give standard another chance. Then I posted 2 or 3 videos. Each of them, I believe, still have under 100 views, and I just wasn't having fun with it. This is supposed to be about fun. I was having fun whenever they didn't ruin my day, and now that I know that the same strategies, the same decks are going to be good for another year, I don't even know what the good decks are in standard right now. I'd have to dig back into it and read up on it, stuff like that, see what people are actually doing in standard, because I haven't played standard in a while now because it's just not interesting to me. There was a format called Extended that can't remember the exact amount of years. I believe it was 2 years. It was a way to keep standard cards going for a little while longer, but the thing is, nobody played it. Nobody liked it. The format is kind of a phantom. Nobody plays it because it's not interesting, and they've done that now to standard. Standard is now old Extended. Wizards said that it's to preserve deck list for people, but whenever you have a Shieldred the Apocalypse, which will cost you in Paper Magic about $70 to $80 on average, depending on what you want and how big you want to go with Shieldred, it's still very expensive to play standard. Very expensive. And Wizards seems to not realize that's not what people want. I mean, they just had their best year. They recorded over $1 billion in profits, so they are doing something right from a business standpoint. But for the health of standard, it's not going so great. Standard is a format that has existed since the creation of the second year of Magic cards, basically. And since its creation, it has had many ups and downs. I think that one thing that they have to do is realize that they made it a mistake by extending it by a year. They've also made a mistake by publishing things that could be Brawl decks. As you guys can see, I do not focus on Brawl at all, but not Brawl. I should say Commander. They focus very, very heavily on Commander cards for Standard whenever they shouldn't be doing that at all. That was kind of the whole philosophy with Loris and any companion. They wanted to lure commander players into standard. It didn't work. They tried so many different things to try to make that happen. That did not work. And now we're stuck in this pickle where they're still trying to fix standard, but the way that they're going about it right now, I don't think is healthy for standard. The old philosophy used to be you keep standard good. You keep standard as a format that people want to keep coming back to, and the game will remain healthy. Right now, Magic the Gathering is either sick or in transition away from standard, and that's why a lot of my content is actually in historic. Why historic and why not explorer? Well, it's actually quite simple. In historic, you have access to the historic anthologies, as well as mystical archives, the artifacts, Shadows of the Past, and Lord of the Rings. You have access to all of those things in historic. It is kind of annoying that you do have to deal with some of the alchemy stuff, but for the most part, it is fine. Like I'm not bothered by it too much seeing other people play those cards. And there are some cards that I have to use to supplement, like Crucius, just because it's a staple of this deck. But for the most part, it is real Magic cards. And I think they've changed Crucius just a little bit. I think that this used to be a 3/3, and they turned him into a 3/1, which makes it a little bit janky to use. So he might find his way out of the deck and something else better coming into the deck. But no, that treasure every turn is really good. And that's the problem with alchemy. But we're not here to talk about alchemy. I was just saying that I need to be playing in historic because you have access to stuff like the One Ring, which is fantastic to play almost all the time. Ergo, I will deal with seeing Crucius just to play the One Ring. So the true reason for playing historic on a budget account is that you could make one deck and you could constantly improve that deck for the rest of your time playing Magic the Gathering Arena and never have to worry about 80% of the cards out there. I do because it's my channel. I'll do what I want. I want to collect a lot of things. I want to make lots of decks. But in order to do that, I can't be distracted by bad cards in Standard. A lot of the cards that I used to make this deck are very situational at best, and they were situational to get Atraxa out on turn 4, and that is no longer possible. Turn 5 is the quickest you could get it out, and so I crafted cards that don't need to be in the deck now, therefore they are forever dead. In historic, however, all of these cards can go into other decks. Mono Red loves Seasoned Pyromancer, really does. For 3, you could refill your hand a little bit. Thoughtseize is loved by every black deck that's out there. Mirror Breaker can be fit in anything playing red. Shieldred can be played in anything playing black. And the One Ring can be played in every single deck you will ever make in Magic the Gathering. This is a Magic card of Magic cards. Ergo, all of this stuff is not just crafted for the one deck, much like you would see in a standard deck where you're crafting all these cards for one deck. These are really nice placeholders in every single deck. If you're playing against black, you know they have Thoughtseize. If you're playing against mono red, chances are Seasoned Pyromancer is somewhere around in there. Sometimes. Usually not, sometimes. But it could be a placeholder. Orcish Bowmasters can always be a thing, etc., etc., etc. Therefore, do not let Wizards trick you into thinking that Standard is the cheap staple. It is a good way to get your feet wet with Magic the Gathering, and it also has its own unique properties that make it an interesting format in and of itself, and a big part of that was rotation. For me, rotation was what kept me playing Standard, because I wanted to see what the next meta was going to be. And now we know what the meta is. We know it's going to be that same meta for a long time. I don't have to sit here and constantly craft and change cards and do this and that. It just makes it a format that's like Historic, that's like Explorer, but with many fewer cards. Well, I appreciate you guys spending some time with me. I know it's been a while since I've posted, but it's just, you got to have that work thing going, you know? And I'm changing positions right now, so my time is pretty limited for the moment, but that is changing very soon. I will be back to regular uploads here in about another week. Thank you for joining today. Make sure you've liked the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time in the arena. Bye.